So if you're wondering, the guy stepping on stage is absolutely tiny, or that screen's massive, the answer. Honestly, that's so intimidating. I was in here earlier and I was like, when I stand up there, I can't even see over the lectern, so it's a bit daunting. So I'm Kevin Cameron. I'm going to talk to you today about something called Panoptic culture, but before I do, I just want to thank Alex and Danny, not the other Alex, I thank everyone, but Alex and Danny asked me to come down from Glasgow. Forget my direction, it was 5 o'clock this morning, so sorry, I'm getting a bit tired. So the guys asked me to come along. I run the Glasgow community of practice, which we call Ignite, and a similar one is run by Alex and by Danny. So we can think of this actually as a kind of three-way collider: the external community, the Glasgow community of practice at J.P.Morgan, and the London one as well. So it's going to be a wee bit messy. So first of all, the title. Actually, sorry, Danny wanted to make a shameless plug that we are award-winning when it comes to events. I think Danny himself did. He spoke at those 18 down in Vegas. Yeah, I'm sure if you talk to him afterwards, he'll tell you it was the second or third attempt, I think, when we actually put our kind of proposals in. So even that in itself shows that iterate around it and you might eventually get in. So yeah, shameless plug for Danny. Anyway, over to the presentation. So it's a kind of strange name, Panoptic culture. I must admit, the person who basically helped me kind of pull this together, there's two chaps that I met through our community of practice who work in J.P.Morgan, and together we kind of came up with this. It's a Reveal.js app. Actually, I didn't realise until I came in that this was quite a common thing in this meetup. How many people have actually used Reveal.js before? Oh, you strung me up. You said that everybody's seen this before, and it's just you. Right? Okay. So that's good. Sorry. So something a little bit different. So it's not PowerPoint, but it's basically a Reveal.js kind of like framework for basically presenting HTML presentations. But it's actually done through DevOps practices as well, which I'm going to come on to. But the name itself, it was actually one of the chats come up with. I was like, that's a great name. Panoptic. It sounds like panoramic. It sounds like it kind of encapsulates everything. But if you feel like me, you didn't know what the definition was, then there's the definition. So really it kind of encapsulates what we've been trying to do at J.P.Morgan, particularly over the last 2 to 3 years. We've come from a very heavily regulated, kind of siloed organisation, and what we've really been trying to do is try and bring it all together. There's a few techniques that we've used, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, but I'm just going to share kind of what we've done to see if that resonates. So before I go any further, I'll kind of explain who I am. So Kevin Cameron, I'm an executive director at J.P.Morgan. I've been with J.P.Morgan for about 15 years, actually next week it'll be 15 years. And I've worked in various different roles in that time. I started off as a Java developer, not a very good one, to be perfectly honest. I shared code, but it was pretty poor. I moved on from there to move into more of a support type role, both in lower environments and in production environments. And from there I really kind of started to find my niche, like networking, problem solving. That really became my thing. And I'm happy to admit now that I just absolutely loved the firefighting, and it kind of put me down a path in my career that was quite didn't give me a good work-life balance, put it that way. Getting called at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I'm sure quite a lot of you guys can resonate with that. So I did that for a while, and then I kind of started to get into more of a core engineering role around databases, Sybase. If anyone's basically worked in Sybase, you know that there is still working out there, but there's not that much. So I spent a bit of time in that, and then I kind of went into the management side of things. So I actually went back, managed a support team, quite a large support team. Went back to development, and then in the last 2 years, I've been asked to kind of do a transformation lead role for DevOps across like a 600-person organisation, which is where most of the kind of stories I'm going to tell you kind of come from, and it's been very, very interesting. Right now, we are building out an SRE function, which I probably won't have time to go into, but essentially we're building an SRE team to basically try and build telemetry platforms and actually really start visualising their availability data and SLI, SLOs, error budgets, etc. So if you want to talk about that later, then I'll be happy to talk about that all day. If I can kind of sum up my own kind of ethos just now, it's a bit cheesy, but really this is the way what I try and live by day. Try and codify everything, try and make sure that you're not doing anything manual. It's not possible, especially when you've got still some quite bureaucratic processes in place that you've just got to try your best to deal with and circumvent. And an area that definitely is we have seen massive benefits from is ring fencing time for continuous learning, because by doing that you actually end up coming up with really, really creative solutions, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. The two others who can't be here tonight, we kind of presented this in various different places, so I said I'm down in London all the time, although I'm based in Glasgow, so I can do this, but Chris and Callum are my two counterparts who help me. Chris helps me run the community practice in Glasgow. Callum actually now works elsewhere, but we're still in constant communication, so these are kind of people who are kind of quite like-minded to myself to put this together. So basically, the one thing with this, I kind of touched on it, is like this we try wherever possible to apply DevOps principles outside of the kind of orthodox way of doing it. One of the things we're working, me, Chris and Callum, on a spare time is using Grafana to basically visualize some of our health data, like Strava data and Garmin data, pull it together, try and weight it to see how we're comparing against each other and stuff like that. So things like that, but also like this presentation. So mentioned before, it's written in Reveal.js, which is just a way of kind of beautifying an HTML presentation, like a framework for that. The code base is in GitHub. If you wanted to fork that and take a copy of this, then you can make it a bit more elaborate. I've not been able to put a lot of the kind of examples of stuff that we've done in JP, just because we do have some red tape in J.P.Morgan with some of the stuff that we can show. And it's also built through Circle CI, so everyone familiar with Circle CI? Who's familiar with Circle CI? Loads, right? Okay. I wasn't really, because we were, up until about 6 months ago, we were really kind of all really working on Jenkins, so obviously this seems way better. So what we do is we obviously make the changes, and so the HTML is in the code, we basically raise a pull request, get it approved, and it gets pushed through a pipeline and deployed to Amazon S3. But there's all sorts of kind of tests in there, Selenium tests. There is like meant to be spell checker tests and stuff like that as well, so I say meant to be just in case you see a typo and you want to catch me out, feel free to shout out. So that's a bit about living and breathing DevOps. If you're interested, it's actually quite cool. Like if you hit S on this, it'll actually show you. I'm not looking at these speaker notes, because I've not got a separate thing, but it actually pulls up speaker notes and it's got a timer and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, then give me a shout. I'm happy to talk you through it. So that's the presentation. In terms of kind of like quickly, and I know this kind of goes against what was displayed before. The typical definition of DevOps for us, what we've really been trying to build, and we really believe in this, is to try and change the mindset first. Because what we found is quite a lot of the time, some of our teams in the past have tried to basically just go straight for the tools. They basically went like, I'm going to go for Jenkins or Jenkins X or Circle CI, and once I've done that in DevOps, or we do our own deployments and we deal with all our own production issues, so we're DevOps. Like for us, that's not the way it works. You need to get the mindset, you need to do that at grassroots. So there's a thing that a kind of counterpart I spoke to talks a lot about holacracy, and basically driving the strategy from the ground up. And a big part of that, for me, is to get the right mindset spread across the organisation, because that's the only way to scale it. My job 18 months ago was to try and scale it across 400 people on the AD side, 200 in production management. So to do that, I can't just go and basically apply a whole bunch of tools, because people will circumvent those tools and basically do their own thing anyway. So starting with the mindset is key, and then bring more mindset up. But from that, then you get all your results. So it then comes into more familiar things, like it starts to drive the culture, it pushes you through continuous improvement. And for me, it's not just about the tools, just to re-emphasise this. So I'm sure people may not agree with this, but this is kind of the model that we've kind of went for. So that's kind of what it means to us. That's how we've basically tried to drive it. In terms of our journey, so as I've kind of said at the start, like my main driver really was when I started looking at this, it all just appeared common sense. I was like, oh, actually that's right. Like, I mean, we should basically be automating whenever possible. We don't want to be getting called at 2 and 3 in the morning, but basically for me, selfishly, I wanted a better work-life balance. So actually driving my own work to move to more of a DevOps model was basically what I wanted to go. And one other thing that we did when I started trying to scale it out across the organisation was we actually ended up doing a kind of DevOps readiness grid, or like you could call it a maturity assessment. We found it very, very quickly that was flawed completely. So we changed our focus and we started looking at some metrics. And I was really glad to see the State of DevOps reports coming out last year, which ended up really tying in with what we've been going after for the last 12 months. So, has everybody read the State of DevOps reports from last year? I imagine most of this room have read it. Cool. So there's 4 things basically we really went after. First one was basically really easy for us to do. We basically started just shipping changes in small increments. So basically massively increased our deployment frequency. So we just went with big quarterly releases. We were basically throwing like 200 Jira demands into it, and we went, no, let's just basically ship it in smaller increments. And automatically, that then basically fed into a lower change failure rate, which was 2 of the metrics that basically came out of the State of DevOps report. A couple of other ones that we really then went big on was our lead time to market. So from the inception of an idea to getting that out to production and beyond maintenance, we actually looked at that. I'll talk about how we did that in a wee second, but that's massively trended in the right direction, and we're going to continue that. And then the final one, which to be honest I think we've got a bit of work to do, is MTTR, like our mean time to recover. When we have an incident, how quickly can we actually recover from that? And I think we do a really good job of that, but I think we do it the wrong way. I think we do it through human heroics, and that's the thing that we basically need to get away from. So that's probably the area that we really need to focus on, and that comes back to mindset, because a lot of the people who are doing that think that that's moving their career in the right direction. It's actually holding back the whole organisation. So that's one area that we basically look at. So in terms of how we really get started, I guess that's the first bit of advice I give. You really need to map out where you are. I think it's very easy, especially coming to things like this, and you hear about really cool stuff like from other companies around like some of the cool stuff they're doing, how many deploys they're doing a day, all that type of thing. If you don't map out where you are, then basically you're going to get very, very frustrated very, very quickly. Because immediately, oh, that's cool, we're going to go continuous deployment, we're going to go from a quarterly release cycle to deploying multiple times a day. Didn't happen, right? It happened over time. So one thing that we found really, really useful is to basically have an honest view of the end-to-end flow. So I'm sure loads of you guys have read Phoenix Project and we know about value stream maps and things like that, but that's what we did. So a lot of people know about value stream maps, but don't actually implement them. So I can't show you yours, but it's very, very convoluted. So an example, a really, really basic one, I'm just going to pull down there. But essentially what you really want to measure is the handoffs. And that was the huge thing for us. We were at the time quite a siloed organisation, all with quite obviously important tasks to do, but it never joined up. What we found was, when we did all of this, we were like, wow, this is ridiculous, it's taking us weeks to get things out. And when we spoke to the teams, they actually thought, yeah, we're efficient. We ship these changes and basically we get through it, but we just sit and wait. So that's what we found is, there's 2 big eye-openers. One, it was the handoffs and the wait time. And the more we could basically collaborate and pull those groups together, which is difficult because they're in different organisations, but we find ways, right? We basically create virtual teams. You move to more agile, I mean, basic, right? But you move to more agile principles and you basically start having virtual teams with your stand-ups, your ceremonies, all that type of thing. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was, what we really found was, when we did our first bit of analysis, we found there were certain things that looked as if they weren't really that much of a problem in isolation, but then when you actually started accumulating them up, what you realised was that when you're doing them thousands and thousands of times, it really made sense. So one of them was our automating our change records. Obviously a big thing for a company like J.P.Morgan. You need to make sure you're fully auditable and regulated, so you need to have those change records. We could raise them quickly, but it was manual. So we just automated it. Did it from JSON config, pushed it out, and that was it done. We got a massive improvement. We then were able to spend time, and the goal obviously is to spend as much time as possible in the kind of analysis and development side of the SDLC and automate as much of the rest of it as possible. So that's what we've kind of been aiming for, and we've made quite good strides towards that. The next thing, sorry, I start small is important. So one other thing we found that one of the areas that I guess is my speciality is applying DevOps to legacy systems. So I started with the hardest. I went, well, most of our developers are working on a legacy system. I want to go for that. But it was very easy to basically do it with a new. It's very easy. An application is born DevOps. You just do it all right from the start. It's got accumulated technical debt over 15 to 20 years. So I went big on the biggest applications that were legacy monolith applications. And what I found was we got things moving a lot quicker by doing one thing, by starting really small and basically just going for small wins. and massively celebrating those and socialising them. And that had a huge change. It goes back to mindset, with people on the ground going, actually this is helping me day to day. This is something that's like a big, big improvement, even though it's such a small thing. So but the second bit of advice I give, start small, start with something, celebrate it, iterate around it, build that kind of collaborative kind of setup, and then basically iterate from there. So that's one thing I suggest to do once you've mapped where your actual starting point is. Other thing I say, there's multiple paths and tools that you can go down. Don't be afraid to change direction. Don't flog a dead horse, as they say. Like if you go down a route and you're like, oh, we're kind of heavily invested in this, so we just need to see it through to the end. You just need constantly looking back, iterating, and saying if this doesn't make sense, then basically we're going back out. An example for us when we're looking at is building a telemetry system we're using to like InfluxDB. Well, it's great, and just because some of the people on the team got really familiar with it, that we're really holding on to it. And then we looked at it. There's other tools that actually probably look for our use case look better, like Prometheus and things like that. So I can't show you any of that sort of stuff, but it makes the point, right, that if you go down a path that's a dead end and you back out of it, that's not a waste of time. If you've learned something from it and you can use that to make a success in the future, then it's worth doing. And then of course there's multiple tools. I think that showed quite a lot earlier on, some of the ones up there that we've kind of been dabbling with as well. So the other thing is, I mean, it's fairly obvious probably to you guys, but one of the big questions we get, and this is when you maybe go up further up the chain, management chain, you ask this question, we DevOps yet? When that sort of question has been asked, and of course, you're never done. Is the point. You're never done. As soon as you think you're done, you take your foot off the gas. Same as Agile, you need to constantly be investing in it and constantly getting better. So don't think for a minute that if you've done it and you've basically finished it. That's why these transformation programs for me that basically get you moving to a DevOps model are the starting point, but not the end point. It's not a program, it's basically an end time. Any questions? No? Cool. The next thing I'd say, so one way I was able to accelerate, so that's kind of our journey, or kind of how we've approached our journey. There's loads of different strands to that because it's across like 50 applications. Some of them are easy, some of them are still hammering through. But one thing I found is you need to try and find the people with the right mindset, not necessarily the right skill set. So I built a team, a small team, we call it a DevOps catalyst team. You can even just say it's just embedded in AD team, a different AD team that doesn't really get functional demands. But I built that with a different setup than what we're used to. So historically we're a Java development team. We want to basically just hire the same Java developers, bring them in, they're really kind of efficient, we'll work through it. So what I did was I built a team of 6 people, 2 senior software engineers who basically had not only a wealth of experience, but had basically been at the sharp end of having to deal with production incidents overnight. Really important that they had that, because that would be their motivation to not do that too often. I then went out and took, over the 15 years I'm working, the 2 best people who I'd worked with on the operations side, but people that I knew would basically have an engineering mindset, but they just never get a chance to show it. And I converted them, took time, over 18 months to basically convert them into developers who were sharing code. But my God, now, like they're the best developers on my team because they get the full gambit, they get everything, they understand what it's supposed to look like. So I find that it's really important because the 2 then bring 2 different mindsets. And then the third, which may be a bit niche because of what we're doing, are system admins. So a lot of the stuff we do is trying to go down the containerization route, to treat infrastructure as code, Ansible, Puppet, Chef, that type of thing. So I've found that bringing a couple of sysadmins into the team are basically a good way of evolving and basically getting different approaches. Probably go through this. I think one important thing is you need to also challenge if you're in the same position as me. You've been here like 15 years. I've got habits that I've built up over the years that I just didn't even realise. So you need to start challenging yourself before you start challenging others. And that's something that I kind of took a bit of time to get my head around, because I thought this is the way it just has to be. I mean, basically you've got to convince yourself otherwise. And learn to challenge others thinking. So this is one I'm sure you guys have implemented, but blame-free postmortems and things like that are great. But really, if you want to get to really understanding and trying to change other people's mind, you need to empathise with them. You really need to put yourself in their shoes. If the typical model of someone from AD trying to throw code into production, and then someone basically from operations blocking it, then basically you need to understand why they're doing that. They're doing it for a good reason, but basically there's maybe a middle ground to be met. Am I getting time checked? Yeah. Another thing that basically helps kind of like keep the momentum going is to continually keep learning. So the reason I mention this is one of the things that I built a roadmap of how we want to evolve our DevOps practices, and the thing that ended up being our flagship product and the thing that moved things quicker was nothing to do with what I come up with. But what it did come from was following you guys have heard of the Google model of like 20% innovation and ring fencing that 20% for trying new things, yeah? So we did that, and we didn't have to do it for long. We did it for like 2 months, and something came up, it was basically a bot that would go around and automate some of the, your issue tracking system, you've got your source control management system, scan systems, it would reconcile all that and automatically de-scope. Now you'd think some of that takes care of in a pipeline. Some of the systems we're looking at are legacy, so they don't have that yet. So this automated a lot of those mundane practices, but it also can help us from a controls perspective to make sure things were compliant and got de-scoped automatically. And then it turned into a UI and an automated Python like dashboard that people could use to drive what releases they jump into, when to de-scope, all of that type of thing, and took care of a quite convoluted branching strategy. So just an example of ring fencing time for your teams or yourselves to basically try something new, even if it might fail, you'll learn something from it, and eventually something great will come out of it. So that's our experience. Keep pushing for change. There's always lulls. I think when you go to stuff like this, I think you go to the external events, especially the big ones, you come back and go, this is great, I'm ready to go, I'm going to try some new things. But it does go through peaks and troughs, so eventually you will kind of get a bit, you kind of lose your energy. You need to continually invest in it, and don't be afraid to change it up just because someone's basically brilliant at something. I like to just take people out of that and basically try something else. And they're always hesitant at first, but they'll always learn something new and then they'll get that kind of drive back again. Embrace and understand failure, so I've kind of mentioned that one already, but I think there's nothing more powerful than a success that was realised off the back of a failure. And those are the ones that we try and socialise and make a big deal of all the time. It's quite difficult, and I think one of the problems is, obviously, if you start having that bullying culture where you're pointing fingers, people don't take risks and people don't try new things, so you essentially stifle innovation. Just a couple of other quick things. Frozen middle, who's heard of the frozen middle? Not many? Okay. So, a few. So basically, in large organisations, it can be very, very difficult to get a consistent message from the top of the house down to the bottom. And what we often find is, at the top, everyone's been said correct, that's what we want to do, we want to move to cloud, we want to do containerisation, we want to do all that sort of stuff. And on the ground, the guys go, this sounds great, I really want to do this. So I'm not saying it's a negative thing, I think you need to be aware of it. What drives the people on the ground can be very, very different from what drives the people in the middle. And what I mean by that is, if you basically go and talk to a developer, they'll probably tell you, I actually just want to be like doing analysis and coding, I don't want to bother about bureaucracy, I want to try and automate my testing, I don't like raising change records, all of that stuff they don't want to do. So for them, it's all about being efficient and actually working on exciting things. Maybe middle management is more about how quickly can we get things out the door, how quickly can we basically reduce our lead time. So I think it's about, again, empathising with all of the stakeholders and trying to find a way. And they may not care, but I think you need to try, because to really get that fluidity through the organisation, you need to be aware that there is a kind of frozen middle that you need to penetrate. And then the last one is communities of practice. So this is a great example of it. I have learned so much from my local communities of practice in Glasgow, who basically people have come up and told us about conferences they've been to and the things they've tried. One of the guys basically kind of came in and demoed all of these smart home systems, which is basically visualised through Grafana and stuff like that. It was really, really cool. And then of course the next phase of that for us is these collider events where we start really kind of like collaborating with different regions and also like with external groups like you. So there's a huge amount to be said for actually going outside your day-to-day to come out with new ideas. In terms of where we go from here, so just kind of recapping it, make sure you're building the relationships through empathy, through putting yourself in other people's shoes. I can't tell you how important that is. I think everything else like basically falls by the wayside unless you can actually do that, because then that's how you collaborate and that's how you all have one goal eventually. goes without saying, biggest bottleneck, measure, iterate, basic agile principles, but it worked massively for us. And then the final one, which I didn't really get a chance to get into, I'd love to show you, but so how we kind of move to a data-driven decision-making process whereby you use telemetry to basically help make those decisions and help you deal with production outages and things like that. So, I think I'm probably over time, but I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone's got on that. It's a bit more on the culture side, rather than kind of actually showing you stuff, but that's really what drove us to basically kind of really evolve over the last 2 to 3 years. So that, I'll ask any questions. Yes? Mike? Yes.
Oh, thank you. I'm very big on the principle of you learn far more from your mistakes and failures than you do your successes, and you're clearly the same mindset. If you can actually tell us what was the mistake that you made that you learned the most from?
Wow, okay. This feels like an interview. So, there's loads, right? First one, it would have to be, I definitely got to gung-ho firefighting. I made some big calls, and basically some of them turned out to be wrong, and we of course eventually remediated them in the heat of like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. You're like, make this call, we'll do this, we just need to get it back. And you're like, that wasn't the right call, we need to rewind. And I didn't want to basically continue to do that in my career, because obviously that's not putting my career in a good place. So a couple of those, luckily they've not been catastrophic, but they could be, right? And that for me is why, again, data needs to help you drive a lot of these decisions, and mention machine learning and stuff like that. So you say, there's a pattern here. This actually happened 2 years ago, and this is how it was resolved. So maybe try this. And I think that's basically going to be a big kind of way forward in the future. But yeah, I mean, I've made tons. I've probably made quite a lot in terms of my. I don't regret anything. I never regret anything. But if I look back in my career, I wasted quite a lot of time not challenging myself and being too afraid to change. Like I was like, oh, I'm developing now. Like I'm moved from development to support. Is that a backward step? It wasn't for me, right? But at the time, I wasn't sure if it was. Moving into Sybase, and I realised 2 years, I'm like, Sybase is like, doesn't seem like there's a lot of investment in it. So I've made a lot of mistakes like that, but I've learned from them, and then it basically helps shape you for when these situations come again. Does that answer your question?
Cool, just time for one more question. Anyone else? Over there. Can you run?
Great presentation, Kevin. I love what you're going to say. I completely agree with you about all the mindset stuff. To pick one example, the celebrating the failures, right, the learning from them.
Yeah.
In order for you to get your teams to do that, you can set the tone for the culture so that they can examine their failures. But for you to be able to do that, you need to have a management that also gets that you need to be examining your own failures. So how do you get the mindset shift in your teams if you don't have the mindset shift above you already? If you see what I mean? And is that a problem?
Yeah, it is to be honest, and I think that one way we do it is, so my team, small team, we actually hold all postmortems for incidents. So we actually kind of go through it, and I do my due diligence before it, we actually go through it. And to this day, I've not found one situation where we can't say, well, it's not really the developer's, like say the developer's fault. Like we say, well, that should have been tested more. And you go, well, actually, we've not really invested in the right test framework in that area. Or it was maybe someone shoehorning them to basically get this change out quicker. So on paper, you could say, oh, that developer's been sloppy and they pushed it through. But when you dig a bit deeper, you realise that actually they've been pushed into that, and it's the organisational construct that's actually the problem, as opposed to the individual. So I always shift any failure away from any individual. We fail together and we learn from it. And I've also found when you escalate that up the management chain, you don't really get any pushback. They go, no, we get it, but we want tangible stuff to make this better next time. My thing for my team always says, you make a mistake and that's absolutely fine. Never make the same mistake twice. There's no excuse for that, right? And you could say, well, that's like finger pointing, but I tell them how they can do it. Now, it doesn't always happen, and there's always other reasons, but I think that's the way to do it. It's like a kind of like collaborative approach, even when we have an error. It doesn't ever go on an individual, and I think that's what I would recommend. That's it.
Excellent, good. Let's have a Big hand for Kevin. Thank you.